As a resident or as a business, walk me through the process of choosing. I right now, the hypothetical pay a utility. And I just get my bill once a month, I pay it, and boom, that's the end of it. How do I shop for an independent?
Well, I think you just named one of the key things, which is pick up your bill. And the bill that you have from your local utility has all of the information you need to shop. And you go to the website, whether it's askpsc.com or one of the Connecticut or Massachusetts sites, and follow the steps there. And they will tell you who the various folks are that you can call. It will give you contact information, whether it's by email or by telephone. When you call, the basic information you need, your account information, your location information, the bill shows you if there's a meter, the meter information. You'll provide that information to the folks that you talk to on the phone.
The independent supplier.
The independent suppliers, and ask a lot of basic questions, the same questions you would ask if you, say, have an oil tank and you have to buy oil. You know, obviously you're going to ask about the price. Is the price flat? Is it fixed? Does it vary? How much does it vary? How long is the term of the contract? What happens if you leave that contract early? Is there a penalty? A lot of people with cell phones find out very quickly when they terminate their contract earlier and they get that $175 bill that there may be things attached to it. So there has to be a lot of notice up front by the provider about any termination provisions. And any other questions, ask what kinds of programs are out there, what incentives are out there. There's a referral program in New York which provides a 7% reduction in your bill simply for switching for a period of time. Ask them what kinds of incentives are out there. Paul, what am I forgetting?
No, well, I think one of the things that are important on the bill is it really is user-friendly, which, you know, I think in comparison to years past was not always the case. But you can look at your consumption, you know, what did you use the month before, the previous month, which is helpful in deciding what you may or may not want to do. But it is clear, it's pretty straightforward, and if people take a few minutes of their busy day, it'll pay dividends. And again, we've done many studies in this area in terms of public opinion polling. People want to save money. Every dollar counts. So the ability to get a good deal or a better deal is well worth the effort.
And I understand there are also options of fixed price versus variable price. So I can buy, let's say I sign a contract for a year. I could buy my electricity at a set fixed price for that entire year? Is that how that works?
In part, companies have different programs, but we have found that many customers want a budget.
Right.
They want to be able to say, even though it's X, it'll be more during these months or these other months, but if I can flatten it out for the 12-month period, that will help me with my budget.
It's like the utility budget plans.
That's right, and that's
that's
a powerful tool in the sense of being able to count on your budgeting and do it appropriately. That's one of the options.
What about in this day and age of trying to be more green, more environmentally friendly? How has this whole restructuring had an impact on that, or has it?
Good point, Jack. There are customers who are very interested in purchasing electricity from green sources, and there are companies that are out there that advertise specifically with respect to that. There are programs that have been set up by the states that measure to make sure that these companies really are purchasing their electricity from either renewable or clean or, you know, whatever the various programs are that are out there. And assure the customers that if someone comes to their door and says, we're going to sell you green electricity, that it really does come from green sources.
Yeah, there's a lot of integrity in the process there, and regulators, I think, have done a very nice job of making sure that we can measure that, in fact, it is a green source, be it a wind farm here in New York or in Maine, where have you. But again, it's all about choice. There are consumers, and more so, day in and day out, that green is a value. And whether it's a little more expensive or not, they intelligently will make that affirmative choice. And again, it's back to choice, the ability to do that. And that's exactly what we've found, particularly in Massachusetts and throughout New England, that there's a core constituency, and it grows every day, that green is important to them for a variety of reasons.
I would imagine this day and age, it definitely is the case. All right, I decide to go with an independent. I have picked somebody. What do I need from them? What should I have to make sure that it is a good, solid business deal?
Well, you will get a welcome package from them, assuming you've made your selection. You'll get a welcome package from them which has information about your program and so forth. From that point on, depending on where you are, many of the companies will provide their bill right as part of your main bill. On my bill, if I go to page 3, it's got all the information about what my competitive provider is providing me, how much of my bill is coming through that part. And you know, I will continue to have, you know, information about how to contact them if I have a problem, and really they are the people you should come to first if you have a question about that part of your bill. And failing that, if you have issues, if you have difficulties, you can always go to your local public utility company and call them as well if you have a complaint.
And what should I look for in the contract?
Well, in the contract, the typical in terms of where that price, any termination issues, so you know in terms of the time and what commitment you've made, because typically there's a fair price, but there's a commitment on the other side in terms of how long you're going to be a customer. And again, I would say it's absolutely seamless. The reality is when Maureen sends the check in, there's one check, it goes in and it gets paid. That amount gets paid. So you're not worried about who's doing what to whom. It gets paid, it gets done easily, but you have made an affirmative choice of a supplier at that point.
But in some cases, you'll get both the delivery from the delivery charge from the utility, your old standby utility, and a separate bill for the supply.
I think that might be in some regions. In some places, that's absolutely right. Back home in Massachusetts, it's in one bill, but in some locales there too.
Okay, I make the switch. I sign my name on the dotted line. The new company takes over for supply. What changes? What stays the same?
The beauty of this is that very, very little changes, in the sense that you have your utility that has the infrastructure. They keep the transmission facilities going. You get your electricity in there, and the reality is your lights stay on. You've made a different choice, and hopefully you've saved a bit of money. You've made a good relationship with a new company, and so very little will change, and that's part of the message. Very little will change. Now, if you had some opportunities in terms of some of the other service we talked about, in terms of technology, in terms of demand side response, the ability to gauge how much usage, some of those technologies will be new to you and could be something you choose depending on the company.
Okay. And then is there anything other than the bill, really, or the potential for two bills that is different?
No, it really is not, because if for whatever reason something happens to that supplier, it goes out of business, it leaves the state, what have you, you still have the ability to go back to your utility. It's an expression we refer to as provider of last resort. No matter what happens, you will have somebody to provide your electricity. So from a reliability perspective, I mean, I think we would make the argument that the overall system is more reliable, but in terms of your interface with your local utility, it's exactly the same. In terms of the options that are available, there may be some more options, there may be some more services. But in terms of your ability to get electricity when you need it, at the moment you flick on that switch, nothing has really changed.
Yeah, and the other thing I think it's important for our viewing audience to know is that the suppliers, the independents as we've called them, that are offering this, these are large, good corporate citizens. These are not small fly-by-night operators. These are very solid corporate citizens that many of them, some larger than others, granted, and some boutiques in the region, but others are national presence. Some are very heavy in the region, and these are names and corporate citizens that we've all heard of and know, and you'll see the list when you go into the PUC websites.